Yeah, it doesn't. Remember, we're talking about the American people. We're talking about he was president 4 years ago and it was fucking horrible and they still voted him back in. So it's quite possible that he can turn it around in the moment in the next 100 days after this. If he stops a war in Ukraine, if the economy does take a turn, because like there's so much of the economy, like he can.
It's gonna take a turn, all right. All right, but
the results of our new.
We got Trump's lowest approval rating in any president in the past 80 years here. And this is something that I've been talking about that I've been trying to explain, but a big part of this, especially even on the immigration side, where Trump is finally reaching disapproval for the first on immigration, which is supposed to be his strongest, his strongest aspect of his campaign. The reason why is because finally the Democrats have made a big fuss about it, and the media started covering it. And eventually, once the media started covering it, people were like, oh my God, I had no idea. This shit is depraved. This shit is fucked up. And that's precisely what I said would happen. And that's precisely what I was. Those aren't spicy.
Yeah, it's just a tomato.
Oh, you don't fuck tomatoes. Okay.
Heartburn.
Tomatoes give you heartburn?
Yeah, red sauce gives you heartburn.
God
damn. Not yet, but give it some time. Keep sitting here in this chair.
I mean, yeah.
40 hours a week.
I hope not. Every single thing, he is basically every single goddamn thing, from immigration to foreign policy to trade to lowering costs of goods, all this stuff. And, some Democrats have at least like pushed the needle, pushed the conversation in an appropriate way. And therefore, media is covering it. And therefore, lo and behold, his approval ratings are going down on that front, too. And I'm glad that they've done that.
New poll on President Trump. As we approach the 100-day mark, he has the lowest approval rating of any president in the past 80 years. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the story. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, our new polling shows that the president is facing real challenges as he hits the 100-day mark with historically low standing for a president at this early point, even on the issues that helped propel him back here to the White House. This morning, as President Trump approaches his 100th day back in office, new warning signs about how Americans are viewing his work so far. Just 39% approving of how he's handling the job, according to our new ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll. That's the lowest 100-day approval rating of any president in the past 80 years.
Fake polls.
On the economy, Trump promised to lower costs and boost growth, a message that was key to his victory.
I will instruct my cabinet that I expect results within the first 100 days or much sooner than that.
Now, 53% say the economy has gotten worse since Trump took office, with 72% saying it's very or somewhat likely his economic policies will cause a recession. Fears fueled by the president's trade war. The backlash now felt across the country at explosive town halls. Overnight in West Nyack, New York, Republican Congressman Mike Lawler getting an earful.
This was awesome.
And when you look at, for instance, Europe has price controls on U.S. prescription drugs.
Blah, blah, blah.
The president is eager to prove his trade policies are paying off, telling Time magazine he's already made 200 deals, despite there only being 195 countries in the world, though he wouldn't say what they were or which countries are involved. Our Martha Raddatz pressing the Treasury Secretary.
Is there actually any deal at this point?
I believe that he is referring to sub-deals within the negotiations we're doing. And, Martha, if there are 180
But those aren't actual deals.
Martha, if there are 180 countries, there are 18 important trading partners. Let's put China to the side because that's a special negotiation. There's 17 important trading partners, and we have a process in place over the next 90 days to negotiate with them.
Trump says he will not roll back his staggering 145% tariff on all Chinese products entering the U.S. without substantial concessions, though he claims the U.S. and China are talking. But Beijing says that's not the case, that the two countries are not currently negotiating over tariffs. And our polling shows Americans have concerns.
Are you China pilled like I am?
Low-key. So here are my expat country lists. Number one is Canada, just because it's the easiest, most familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Number two is Ghana, because black people, and they want us to come. But
Yeah.
I also know people that are there, have been there. They're like, it's cool, but it's And like not too far, coming up like fast all of a sudden is China. Shout out to iShowSpeed.
Yup.
For putting China on the map.
Remember I told you I like him.
Yeah, and I remember being like, but I made a video in support of him a little while ago too because I realized what he was doing. There's still some problems there, you know, but like I'm not gonna be Aaron Magruder. You feel me? Where people can come back and look at me being a little too hard on essentially kids, acting in ways that kids tend to act.
Yeah.
You know, he could be much, much worse.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen that. So
no, the environment that he literally grew up in, he could have been a psychopath, dude. And he has a bunch of like really fucked up things that he did when he was like 16.
Mm-hmm. I've seen him.
But like considering where he's at now, it's amazing. He's incredible.
Yeah. And it's funny because like he literally in a different timeline got drafted this weekend in the NFL.
Oh
it's
yeah.
so absurd. He's like an elite world-class athlete for no reason.
Absolutely. He's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Concerns that extend far beyond the economy. When it comes to the courts and key rulings on cases like immigration, 65% say the administration is trying to avoid complying with federal court orders. 62% saying they don't think the president's administration respects the rule of law. Despite all this, Trump still has an edge over Democrats.
Are asking what your criticisms of iShowSpeed are like in current iShowSpeed, and I assume his Unc doesn't like Speed barking at babies, probably.
The barking actually doesn't bother me much. Speed still does this gag where people do racist things for him and he acts surprised. And that just annoys me.
That's yeah.
And like the first couple times
I
it
feel
was
like
funny.
He's gotten better at that too, though.
No, he did it like 10 times in China.
No, but I'm saying that like back in the day he would lean into it. In comparison to what he does now, where he's like, at least like.
Now you could interpret it. Now you could interpret it as him confronting it in some fashion or making it, because like the thing that I often forget is that like 85% of white people don't realize racism is a thing still.
Yeah.
And so when he does that, it does, in a sad way, educate his population on how it is to be black and alive and not around black people in any given moment.
Yeah.
Weird microaggressions. But, and that was kind of my point. It's a double-edged sword because we can get into the Shadur Sanders shit. Like, the ultimate goal is for black people to just be able to be normal, right? And have a normal bell curve of expectation and behavior. I don't want it to be where it's necessary for every black person to be on a rigid aesthetic moral code as to not hurt efforts for liberation, make us look bad, you know, shit like that. Like, I don't really want that. So I want it to be, because iShowSpeed is basically, in my video, I compared him to Tom Green, right? Mm-hmm. He's basically Black Tom Green, right? Or young and blacker Eric Andre, right? Mm-hmm. And Tom Green's able to get away with it because he's white and Canadian. Eric Andre's able to get away with it because he's biracial and speaks, you know, and presents a certain aesthetic that is less threatening. But iShowSpeed looks like he could play for, he probably has a Ohio State University scholarship still waiting on him if they're watching his stream. Yeah. So that makes it so anything he does is going to be amplified by the politics of race to be more negative. And so I know that as a 43-year-old who's read all the fucking books and worked in schools and did all this shit, I know that there's a harm to some of the behavior he does, regardless of his intent. But I refuse to be in the camp of black elders who can only engage with young black people around how they're harming the cause. You know what I'm saying? Who that's their only thing they say to young people. So like if I knew Speed in real life, they got me in the chat. So if I knew Speed in real life, I might pull him aside and be like, hey, here's a better way to do that gag that's a little less, you know, regressive. But I don't know Speed. And so I'm not going to be one of the ones being like, we need to get, because it's the same, it's Bill Cosby shit all over again. We need to get the iShowSpeeds of the world and making us look bad. Pull up your pants and cut your hair, young man. Like, I'm not going to be Steve Harvey. You know what I'm saying? And so So I fucks with Speed, especially for exposing me that China's kind of dope. I'm taking the family to Japan next year. But we're gonna figure out China too, because I know China's got its problems. I know China's just as racist as any other country, if not more. But it seems like the money goes far there.
Oh yeah.
And so I could come out with one video a year, and you know,
there's a racialized concept. I hope you don't cringe at hearing this, called being a white monkey in China.
Oh Lord.
Have you ever heard of this before?
No, but I know they love the monkey terminology.
No, but this is specifically for white Westerners that go to China, and they are hired to elevate the status of a company, and they have no real job. They just basically are there to say, like, look, this is a white Westerner that likes our product, or this is a white Westerner that's in our corporate board of executives.
It's DEI.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Like,
it's like
actual DEI.
Actually, like the way that
DEI actually works on some bullshit.
And basically, that's my dream. I want to be that for the Chinese government. I want to be the propaganda minister.
You will be a shield for China.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I can't be mad at you too much. Seeing Chinese folks roast Americans on TikTok has been a joyful moment recently. The guy was like, the funniest one. He was like, "Okay, America, here are all." I probably shouldn't do the accent.
Don't do it.
He said, "Okay, Americans, here are all the things that I own in my home that are made in America." And he went like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not
I
a
saw
single
that one.
fucking thing.
Yeah.
All right, so how many calories did I just eat according to your macros?
You
didn't eat
had
any of the rice.
You had the rice too, but it depends. If you eat both of the chickens, it's that's why I weigh mine. Like mine is 19 ounces, so it's gonna be 19 ounces of straight white chicken breast grilled. So
I don't know what the fuck that is, Hasan.
I mean, I will look it up on my
okay.
app. I have an app for it.
Got you.
Counting calories afterwards.
Because I'm gonna save that for you, because I'm going out to eat later, and I don't want to OD on. Still very good. You see, so chat, like, no, in all seriousness, this was delicious, as you can see. Shout out to free advertisement for whoever the fuck this was.
Yeah, I don't leak it. I don't reveal my.
Oh yeah, right.
I don't reveal my places. I gatekeep.
No, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, it is delicious though.
Democrats in Congress entrust to handle the nation's main problems. And this morning, the president is reflecting on the difference between his first and second term, telling The Atlantic, quote, "The first time I had two things to do, run the country and survive. Now," he says, quote, "the second time I run the country and the world." George.
Okay, man.
Holy shit.
That's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because it's like he's basically admitting that now, without any sort of limitations, I'm so much worse than the last time.
Great, thanks. And the president will be sitting down with our Terry Moran for an exclusive interview as he marks his first 100 days in office. You can see it tomorrow night, 8/7 Central, right here on ABC.
Nearly 100 days into President Trump's term, the latest CBS News poll shows he is steadily
Let me
losing.
pick your brain on like the worst case scenarios of this shit. So I won't put it past Trump to turn it around in terms of popularity, right?
What do you mean? Like, you think he'll get popular again?
Yeah, it doesn't. Remember, we're talking about the American people. We're talking about he was president 4 years ago and it was fucking horrible and they still voted him back in. So it's quite possible that he can turn it around in the moment in the next 100 days after this. If he stops a war in Ukraine, if the economy does take a turn, because like there's so much of the economy, like he can.
It's gonna take a turn, all right, just not in the direction that's positive for Trump.
But at some point in the future, right? China. He can just end the tariffs in China and set everything back to normal, and things improve. And China could be like, we didn't do anything. He just stopped the tariffs, but he could still tell people, I made that happen. I made a deal.
Yeah.
And no one will call him on the fact that he fixed the problem that he caused and just set things back to neutral.
That's classic Trump. He does that all the time.
Right.
For sure.
So you can't put it past him that he gets his popularity back.
No, I think he. My suspicion is, first of all, we haven't seen the worst impacts of his exploding trade shit yet. Like, we haven't hit the trade dead zone yet. That's coming next month when the lag in supply finally becomes the reality in the form of empty shelves.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes around 55 days minimum for goods from China to come into the United States. And we haven't reached like the actual shortage yet.
Right.
But trade has slowed down tremendously. That's going to have an impact on a major impact on the logistics in this country. Major sectors like trucking. The
Atlanta's the home of the truckers.
Yeah, stevedores and all the people that are like longshoremen that work the ports, they're cooked. There is going to be downscaling everywhere in the supply chains. Then the grocery stores. Then all of these layoffs, which some of which are happening already, like Subaru, I think.
No, go ahead.
Factories are going to start pulling out because they're like, well, parts are too costly for us to manufacture in the United States of America anyway. So more, and that basically is going to create an environment of instability when people start really recognizing the downturn. Because right now the markets are acting as though there's nothing wrong. Like, I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of instability, but like the severe collapse that is still coming, they are simply not looking at all. And it's like kind of shocking to me that like even retail traders or not retail, sorry, even institutional traders are not factoring this in.
And so with that in mind, right, with that in mind, as things get really bad, people get more desperate and shit gets realer.
Yeah.
And so the conspiracy theorist to me is like, is this on purpose to kind of put the country in a desperate position to allow him to claim more powers from the Supreme Court, which has already pre-granted him the power to do whatever the fuck he wants? Like, so we do get Trump 2020 infinity. Yeah, 2028 to infinity.
I think he's too stupid to implement like a thing like that. I feel like they're too dumb. I think what you see is what you get in many instances where like Trump literally is just doesn't know how. He's been obsessive with trade deficits in perpetuity, and he unironically is too dumb to recognize how to redesign global trade after multiple decades of America moving manufacturing, offshoring manufacturing, and becoming the global reserve currency post Bretton Woods to get cheap goods and become the global reserve currency as a consequence of that.
Right.
Like that scheme was designed by the United States of America.
Right.
I think he genuinely wants to change that because he has a real national security concern with respect to China shutting off the manufacturing faucet. And that's an understandable national security concern to have if you are desperately trying to gear for war against China. Because as the Chinese government did, you can just say, okay, well, there are some key resources that I will no longer send to the United States of America. And they have a damn near monopoly on the procurement of these natural resources, rare earth minerals that are necessary for defense, that are necessary for virtually everything, right? And more importantly than the procurement, which you can, go to Congo and cut a side deal if you want to,
right?
But you can't build a refinement processor, like a refinement facility, in the short time necessary for all of these like goods that come into the United States of America. And China currently maintains a monopoly on the refinement.
Right. Yeah. People in between my glazing of China, let's not forget that Elon ain't got nothing on. Elon's dad, I should say, doesn't have anything on insert whichever Chinese mega corporation is pulling all the cobalt out of the Congo. The Congo would be, if Wakanda was a real place, it'd be in the Congo. That's how valuable their land is.
And for the record, Chinese ownership over these natural resources have not necessarily been bountiful for the people of Congo either.
Not at all.
It's just that they are a far better ally to many African nations than the West has been historically because they didn't do chattel slavery. And also,
it's not built into their social fabric of the way they see themselves.
They didn't do chattel slavery, and they offer significantly better loans as opposed to the World Bank and IMF. So these guys are like, yeah, fuck yeah. And they don't even try to do destabilization as long as we play ball.
The destabilization happens anyway, though, because of the nature of enduring cultural aspects that they're enduring cultural conflicts that they create that they're indifferent to. But we're getting off topic because I got to get out of here so I can take a nap before I go meet with some folks. So like the irony is, so what you're saying kind of confirms to me in my head is he's low key accidentally destroying Western hegemony. Like American hegemony may not survive his presidency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think he's accelerating America's demise. I think it's an inevitability because of supercharged capitalism. But I think Donald Trump is accelerating the inevitability, accelerating the demise of the United States because of how he's gone about trying to offer a lifeline to the continuation of U.S. empire. What he's trying to do is, in theory, what he's trying to do is actually smart. It's just in practice, there's no way of doing it with a capitalist framework.
Right.
If you wanted to defeat China and become a manufacturing hub, you would unironically have to have a command economy like China. But that would require a complete reversal of like what America stands for on the global stage as the defender of capitalism.
Right.
So they're not going to do that. And even if they were to magically overnight turn into China, there's still a tremendous amount of factory building and a robust infrastructure that you have to build, like a manufacturing base that you have to build, and training that you have to do for the American labor force.
Right.
That would take at least a decade to fulfill. And Trump is not going to do any of that, clearly. He just wants to get promises from wealthy friends of his, wealthy benefactors of his, and then that's good enough for him to be like, oh, I'm getting $7 trillion of investment. So yeah, that's the major issue. I think that like we're heading down a really scary path. And I don't think it's because Donald Trump thinks like, oh, I'll use this economic instability to my advantage to do.
So it's not even like
martial law.
We're giving him too much credit in terms of like him trying to be a dictator, which I don't think like way back when I was like, he's probably not going to run again because I don't think he actually likes having a job per se, you know. But I also, you know, obviously I was wrong about so many things, but I do still like think there's a kernel of truth in the fact that his goal isn't so much the power of the presidency and of being the God King that the Christian nationalists want, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but
he's narcissist. He's like going along with, he likes the power for sure. It's not that he likes being president, but he likes the idea of being dictator for sure. But I don't think he has enough foresight to set acts in motion to achieve that.
He's not Machiavellian enough.
Yeah.
But he is still Donald Trump. I'm about to hit my Uber. Chat,
Okay.
before I hit this Uber.
Don't show your camera. Don't show your phone to the camera. Make sure. Yeah. No, it's all good. Don't worry. It didn't, but I'm just warning
Chat,
you.
before I roll, follow me on Twitch. I'm on Twitch now. I don't stream as much. So do that. Shout out to
good sell.
Yeah. The Twitch thing is like I'm just trying to create a more robust multiple streams of content to farm myself a little bit more. Because I want to be able to take longer breaks in between videos. But financially, that's unless I get a Kendrick Lamar Drake beef video every 3 months, that's just not realistic. So I'm trying to like, okay, how do I prop up the money where I need it to be without having to put in the effort for an hour or 90-minute long video every 2 months. I'm trying to get into my, like, shout out to Dan Olson, Folding Ideas, like to get into that type of like every 3 to 4 months type of gap, because it allows you to do so much more stuff. My Patreon's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm not doing good. Yeah, please join the Patreon and all that shit too. But Patreon is everybody's Patreon has a natural like stopping point. And I've hit mine. So I'm like, okay, what else do I do? Yeah. Anything I need to address, chat? Any stuff coming out? Shout out to iPatch Wolf, I guess. Yeah, I see that in the chat. Shout out to Nebula. Is Encore? No, I'm a wealthy, famous YouTuber. My house isn't as big as Hasan's, but it's close. But I don't live in California, so it was much cheaper.
I thought you said your house is bigger than mine.
It's maybe yours is, I don't know, maybe it's because it's not unfamiliar, or maybe yours is more open. Like this is definitely a guy's house, whereas like I wanted to make sure there was a place where I knew the kids would be.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Black culture question.
Oh, okay, you get one.
Do you know the Crash Dummies podcast?
No.
You might have seen their TikToks.
Possibly. And the really funny guy, one is kind of like brolic, one's kind of
They're both pretty brolic, but yeah, they're hilarious. They're
I've seen them before.
Mike and Pat.
Yeah, I think I know you.
Good friends of mine. And Mike was telling me that black people never go past a certain point in a house unless they're like directly invited. That's what he said. Because he was like, I've never seen your backyard, and I was like, bro, you've been here so many times. And he's like,
I've been here twice. Where have I been?
You've only been here in the bathroom. So I'm asking you, is that a real thing?
Yes, that's a real thing. That's a real. It's. Listen, it's a whole different. We'll get the sinners some other time.
Which is that was the other thing I wanted to bring up before you leave. The one of the funniest aspects of Sinners, one of the best aspects of Sinners was like the classic trope in horror is that the black guy dies first, right? Mm-hmm. But in real life, I feel like, especially in like black culture, it's like because of the skepticism that you have at all times.
Skepticism. The only thing we don't have enough of maybe is guns, and because guns are expensive. But the skepticism, the communal aspect of certain environments and neighborhoods, like the quickness that black folks will hate each other's guts, and like as soon as a unifying force comes. Instantaneously.
But that's what I loved about the cornbread moment where he comes back and they're like, in a normal trope, in a normal horror movie situation,
you see the white girl got back in easily. Yeah. And the white girl going, there's so much, the Sinners video, I don't know when it'll happen. I'm people here. Or maybe not. I haven't even confirmed my fucking pickup.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Now you got to talk about
Sinners. So the Sinners video, I don't know what'll happen because I got a Beyonce video coming out. I got a Lupe Fiasco video coming out, and then I got to figure out when I'm trying to drop Tyler Perry at the end of the year. So like I don't want to do more than 3 videos for the rest of this year if I can stand it, but we'll see. But so I don't know when I'll get to Sinners, but there's so much stuff there.
Yeah.
It's not like Black Panther where there was a whole Pan-Africanist message, a flawed Pan-Africanist message that everybody missed. So I don't think it'll be that. But just like the white girl being the way that they fell, right? Is, you know, I gotta look more into Kugler and like where that came from. Yeah. That is historically a thing, right? Where we see like the white women as a endpoint for black men because white women have always represented to some black men like I've made it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. When you to quote fallen great thinker in black art, and when we get on, and you ask for a white girl, right? So, but the flip side is white people as allies have always used their privilege as access to other institutions to get power. So in that scene, she's like, let me go out there, talk to the white folks, see if they got any money, because I know we need money, right?
Yeah.
But it ends up being reverse engineered. Kugler is the main character. Like the main character, what was his name with the guitar?
I forget his name. But yeah, the priest's son.
The priest's son, that's Ryan Coogler. Okay. That's his author insert character. And the blues is his...
Sammy.
It's Sammy, thank you. The blues is his art, is his storytelling. I don't know if you know Kugler's story. Kugler was at, I think, a small college on a football scholarship and was going into business and then randomly entered a writing class. And a teacher was like, this is some of the most amazing writing I've ever seen. You should really like do something with this. And the next thing you know, he's in film school. But Kugler is probably a little too real for Hollywood. He's doing the opposite of Shedeur Sanders right now, which is like, I know these white people don't really want me here, so I'm going to play this game very masterfully. The end of Sinners is a message to Disney, because how many white people have how many white people have Wakandans killed in 2 Black Panther movies?
I don't know.
None. Not a single one. They saw all this colonizer talk,
Yeah.
But they're running around with the dude from the CIA.
That's what I thought was like lame about Black Panther.
Yeah, and so am I just not gonna get
It almost feels like he's breaching containment, like he's trying to hold himself back. But even in Wakanda, where he makes a villain figure that is otherwise somewhat cooler than the main character.
Yeah. Like he has to force Killmonger to behave in completely absurd ways in order to make him a villain.
Yeah. He did that with Killmonger, and I would say like even with
Namor. Namor.
Well, I was gonna say even with the Smoke out of Smoke and Stack, like him coming back and like surviving almost leaves you with the question like, was it better overall? To
just do the vampire shit?
Yeah, to become a vampire.
I had the same debate with some black folks last night or the other
is
night.
It better to be, because that's like a really interesting question.
But the vampires also represent like the perversion of black art, right?
Mm-hmm.
But making the vampire the main guy, an Irish and also formerly colonized person, it complicates it. And I don't know why I'm gonna land on that
because he was like, because I feel like he used that as an opportunity to like gain access.
Yeah. It's
to like make a convincing message.
It'll be interesting. I'm waiting to hear other people's takes too, so I can help refine my own. Because I'm not sure where to land with that. Because I thought I understood it until that very end scene. But my people out here.
All right.
Peace and blessings, chat. Till next time. All right. Take care.
He left mid-sentence? Yeah, because he called it Uber, chat. That's why he had to leave mid-sentence. All right, anyway, we're gonna move on. We're gonna get back to regular news coverage now. Okay, everybody can freaking calm down. That was FDsignifier. Shouts out to Unk. Great guest. But yeah, we're now moving back into territory. Familiar territory.
Support. The poll finds his overall approval rating is now down to 45%. The drop is especially sharp when people were asked about Trump's handling of the economy. CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady is with us. Kelly, good morning. What do we think is behind the shift, Kelly?
Well, good morning. And it's likely potentially higher prices. I mean, presidents don't control metrics like prices, but President Trump's actions have arguably influenced the stock market and consumers. So let's run through the economic report card, starting with what looks good for the president on paper. Now, when he took office, the inflation rate stood at 3%. Since then, it's fallen to 2.4%, driven by a drop in energy prices. Mortgage rates have also fallen, with rates dropping just under a point. And yet, growing concern about the U.S. economy has caused a major sell-off on Wall Street. The market and your 401ks have seen some of their worst days since the pandemic. And consumer sentiment has also fallen 4 straight months, with confidence in the economy dropping 32% since January. Now, consumers haven't stopped spending yet, but the fear is they could. And tariffs have caused a chill of uncertainty, with economists expecting more inflation and slower growth. Further, the lack of clarity surrounding what these tariffs will be long-term makes it difficult for businesses, investors, and consumers to plan. I want to emphasize the economic data is stable for now. The negative sentiment stems from what lies ahead.
All right, Kelly, excellent breakdown. Thank you very much. If you look at this right here, if you look at some of the issues, what is fueling this right now, it shows it's really across the board right now. And if you look at where he was in mid-February and you look where he is right now, he is underwater on every issue from a minimum of 3 percentage points to a maximum of 9 percentage points, specifically when it comes to inflation in the economy, as you point out, which is supposed to be his, his expertise at this point. What is also interesting, just overall too, Sarah, is that he is down 7 points from late February, as we note him being an all-time low. That is an amazing drop in such a of time. So Donald Trump right now is having to deal with some of this, some of the fallout with the reality that many of his programs that he...
They're saying it's the greatest drop since the Greatest Depression. No president has ever seen a drop this great. Believe me, folks.
He's trying
Part of the deal.
And many of his cuts that he's trying to institute are just not taking hold.
Yeah, and to be honest, the tariffs have really rattled people. Now, how is he doing when it comes to border security and immigration, which is one of the things that he was that really pumped him up for this particular presidential election?
Collapses as well. He's underwater right now, and you have to wonder, is that because of the effort we've seen put forth by the administration in their strident comments, just like we heard about there being some problems, maybe. You know, nothing is going to be perfect when we perhaps will be sending people outside the country that shouldn't be sent outside the country. But if you look at these numbers right here, it just goes to show you that Donald Trump right now has to work harder at not just implementing his plans, but they need to do a better job messaging it right now, Sarah.
Yeah. When you look across the board at this new polling, is there anything that the president is performing well on?
There's always a bright spot, isn't there? Well, yes, there is. There's one issue right now. Take a look at this. It's an issue that really doesn't have a whole lot of sway in people's pocketbooks, but it has to do with gender identity, which really just goes to show you how divided we are as a nation right now, that we're still talking about gender identity right now when we have wars ongoing and the economy right now is really a big concern, not only for us, but investors around the world.
Yeah, all of that. Thank you so much, Mark Preston. It is so good to see you this morning. Now to someone who knows exactly what we're talking about when it comes to polling. And I don't mean our fabulous John Berman. Sorry, John.
Talking about this guy right here. So the president's poll numbers are historically low and they are dropping. The question is, who will that have the biggest impact on and how quickly? One man knows.
Notice how the one issue where there's no counter messaging is actually Trump's most popular issue. Notice the one issue where Trump is actually so successful is the one issue the Democrats immediately conceded on. A lot to think about here. A lot to think about here, guys. No lessons to learn. No lessons to learn here at all, okay? You called it, yeah. Fake polls. Outlets should be investigated for election fraud, believe me.
Our chief data analyst, Harry Etten. Sir.
Sir, okay. I mean, look, it's the congressional GOP. It's the House GOP. If the House GOP is under any illusions that Donald Trump's fall in the polls won't bring them down as well, well, they are living on Fantasy Island. What are we talking about here? Let's take a look at the generic congressional ballot. Democrats versus Republicans. We have 3 polls out within the last few weeks. What do they all show? They all show the Democrats up by 2 points in the CNBC poll. The Fox News poll that was out on Friday, look at that, Democrats up by 7. The New York Times poll that was out this Friday as well, but Democrats by 3. And keep in mind, the House GOP won the popular vote back in 2024 by a little less than 3 percentage points. So when you see 3, 7, 2, averaging 4, that is a tremendous shift. That is a shift of 7 points from the November 2024 elections away from the GOP to the House Democrats. Donald Trump dragging down the House Republicans.
Where are we seeing this shift in a most pronounced way?
Where are we seeing it? We've spoken about it, Mr. Berman. We're talking about independents. This is how you know that Trump is bringing down the House GOP. Look at Trump's net favorable rating. In October of 2024, according to the New York Times, it was -9 points. Look at where it is now, -30 points among independents. That's horrific. That's historically awful. Take a look at the generic ballot. In October of 2024, the Democrats were ahead, but only by 3, well within the margin of error. Look at where they are now, up 17 points. There is no way on God's green earth that the Republicans can hold on to the House of Representatives if they lose independents by 17 percentage points. My goodness gracious. This is what dreams are made of if you're House Democrats, and it's all being driven, or at least in large part being driven, by Donald Trump's rapid drop with independents.
What does history tell us about how a party does heading into a midterm with the type of lead that Democrats have right now?
Yeah, okay, so I went back through history, right, and I looked at the opposition minority party. That, of course, is the Democrats right now. They're a minority in the House to the opposition of the party in the White House, Donald Trump, a Republican. The average House seats won by the opposition minority party, 234 when leading the generic ballot this early by at least 4 percentage points. That happened in 2006 and 2018. 2 huge Democratic years. Democrats love this number. Of course, We still have months to go. We'll see if history repeats itself.
We do, but this is an answer to the question is, why does it matter what these numbers show right now 100 days into the president's term? Well, there's some history that shows it might matter.
It's exactly right. Oftentimes, the generic ballot actually is quite predictive at this point.
Harriet, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
Let's bring in right now CNN Washington Bureau Chief and Political Director David Chalian. There is a lot that is said. There's a lot that has changed when you look at these poll numbers for this president. It is a different landscape that he's looking at 100 days in. David, what are you looking at in this?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, Kate. I mean, just take a look at the trajectory of his approval rating over the course of these first 100 days. In mid-February or so, our poll showed him at 47% approval. You saw late February, 48% approval. Those were some of his highest approval ratings of his career. He is now down at the 100-day mark at 41% approval, and we'll show you the historic nature of that low. I want to stress here also, it's not just a low approval rating. Donald Trump, over the course of these first 100 days, Kate, has lost the middle of the country politically. Independents have really slid in their approval of Donald Trump. Again, if you look back, mid-February was at 43% among independents. That is all the way down 12 points now to only 31% approval among independents. That becomes a political problem, if not necessarily for Donald Trump, perhaps for his party, who has to face voters in the midterm elections a year and a half from now. But we were talking about the historic nature of that. And if you stack up his approval rating now to all of his modern day predecessors, you see that 41% approval is at the bottom of the list, Kate. Just take a look at all those numbers there. Everyone else at this point in their presidency, including Donald Trump himself 8 years ago, had a higher mark than he has today.
David, and on the issues, there's some strong signals being sent on important issues like the economy and like immigration as well.
I mean, this is two issues that you just named. Not only are they important in voters' minds, Kate, but they were strong suits for Donald Trump, and he is underwater on both of them now. Take a look. We show you here approval every issue we tested. He is below majority support. His numbers are upside down. Now, immigration at the top there, he's now at 45% of approval of handling it. In March, it was 51%. He's lost 6 points. It's still one of his top issues, but he's now underwater. Managing the federal government is the only other issue where he performs better than his overall approval rating. But on foreign affairs, the economy, inflation, tariffs, he's well below his overall approval. In fact, the only issue we tested, and it's not on that list because we don't have trend on it, Kate, where he actually has majority support, 51% approve of his handling of gender identity issues. That is the only positive territory that we see the president in this poll.
Not much counter messaging on immigration. Are you kidding me? Dude, look at the trend polls. There was no motion on immigration a month ago. One story, one fucking story, one mistake. The administration's lawyers admitting that they fucked up. And the way that they held it down and refused to bring this guy back, forcing a U.S. senator to go to fucking El Salvador to see if he was even alive, was able to cause complete collapse over Donald Trump's most popular issue. That's not good enough, and you know it. Are you guys? Do I seem like happy and complacent with the Democrats? Is that something that I've presented to you? I'm like, oh, thank God, man. The Dems are doing great. Oh my God, I love them. Yes, complete collapse as opposed to how popular it was. Yes, the reason why it happened wasn't even because of the Democratic Party's pushes, mind you. They were able to fall in line because some senators actually made a big fuss about it. One senator specifically, Chris Van Hollen. And no, it's not a small tide shift. It's a major tide shift. It's a major tide shift because of how popular it was. You guys are forgetting it was a 66% when he ran and won, dude. 6% down to sub 50 is a crazy swing. God damn. Some of you motherfuckers about to be like, yeah, well, Israel has a 53% unfavorability rating. That's not good enough. It's like, yeah, I agree. But you have to adjust your expectations to what the media looks like surrounding an issue, My point is that people are malleable. That's the argument that I'm presenting. People are malleable and they need leadership desperately. So when Democrats even accidentally arrive at a correct position of leadership, that's all it takes for the media to start covering an issue, and that's all it takes for that issue to snowball. That's it. I'm never going to fucking... Listen, I'm never going to stop demanding the Democrats do more, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be a fucking delusional loser when there are some Democrats, regardless of other positions that they might hold, doing the right thing. Because I understand that in the short term, I have to work with these people. I have to celebrate when they do the right thing. Meanwhile, if you want to understand Democrats doing the wrong thing, look no further than fucking Cory Booker. Cory Booker and Hakeem Jeffries are sitting outside of Congress trying to do a struggle session, okay? They see all the mobilization happening. Anyway, it's so stupid. Chinese Chengdu short saying incoming. The people are a blade to be forged. You don't wail at the metal until it breaks. You use measured strikes with the goal of forging a blade to wield. Are we covering the Canadian election? Yeah, maybe later.
The numbers are fascinating. The context that you provide around it, as always, David, is so important. Thank you so much. It's great to see you.